All right, what's up, YouTube? I got a good amount of time. I think my whole thing is full, so we could just talk about like, what did you cure? How's your detox process been from beginning to end? I guess just give your details to it.
Yeah, well, I grew up an asthmatic. I was always in the hospital. My lungs were never working. So, I mean, I've had that experience with sickness like very early on. And it was like manifested fully, you know?
Yeah.
And just not being able to be athletic as a child, you know, really affects you.
Yeah.
But I didn't really start my detox and cleansing until I was about 20 years old, you know, and
Okay.
it just came from learning.
So how old are you now again?
I'm 29.
Okay. Yeah, nobody would know.
Yeah, so
just to repeat.
yeah, so when I mean, you have to be healthier to exert yourself in certain ways. So I just understood, well, especially when I was in the military and, you know, being in a tropical region, like it's like I really found like my heaven state for my body, and so it was easier to kind of learn, okay, what foods don't work with me. So really just
you found out how your body should feel,
and then the process of eliminating these, you know, common foods in the Western diet, which is like dairy is like the #1 thing, and you know, being Filipino and squirrel.
Yeah, my dogs would have went crazy.
Yeah, right.
No.
You know, being Filipino and black is like our DNA just, we don't like the milk. It's disgusting, you know, and it's eating the bleached foods, like all that stuff really matters, and it just destroys your lungs. So many kids are growing up and they're having anxiety and depression, and their health is just horrible at a very young age, you know, and then throw in birth control. So I was going through all that hormonal,
which just inflates all the organs and everything.
Yeah,
inflates everything.
It was
swelling,
rough, dude. Yeah,
swelling, the first symptom of disease.
Yeah, and I could even see it in my face. My face was swollen, and I never really knew my natural weight until I detoxed.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's the most inflammatory foods to you?
I noticed like certain starches, like you can like it's really mostly I notice it's like I know people they try to transition and they'll rely on like eggs, you know, like boiled eggs, and like it's really inflammatory for me. Of course, meat, cheese, like dairy is just like, it's easy to see like how horrible it is on your body.
Yeah, no, there's no logic to me as far as dairy goes. I mean, there's no logic.
Just even a little sip is like, my body is like, get this out of here.
No, it's all good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was gonna pet him like a sensei. No, but
yeah. So initially, really, what I started doing was.
So yeah, everything typically the white breads, the white pasta, the white milk, all that. Yeah.
All the typical Western diets, and the enriched foods and the processed foods. And so what I did, and I remember initially, is I started out just with eating natural, like just fruit and vegetables, like all the time, like, and I would start with the intermittent fasting, and I was already used to that. I think it's natural for me to not really eat early
fast
on.
half the day or
yeah,
whatever
it's just normal to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I could easily incorporate this. So so when I was experiencing cravings, I would just rely on, you know, fruit and things like that to help me get through it. But at this point, like, asthma is like, doesn't even exist to me. But the next thing is like, still, it's like I'm working on detoxing, cleansing my blood even more, healing my organs even more, because it's a continual process. Like we were talking about the worms and everything too, like pinworms, like how easy it is.
The parasites.
Parasites.
I mean, if you have a spouse or somebody that is eating like that, like kissing them, you constantly get infected by pinworms and flukes and all that type of stuff. All the microbials, man. It's just treacherous. So I don't know. I mean, for me, like it really wasn't worth it to to retox. Usually, just. I mean, I've had my experiences. Don't get me wrong. I've had good times, you know, as far as retoxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're all the endorphins is going off, and it's just like, you know, I feel good, but then it's, you know, then it has to balance out, because it's a chemically induced.
You don't suffer for that.
It's a chemically induced happiness, so it has to yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's not like a sustained, like, immortal light that we could be.
The constant roller coaster from eating like that, the extremes you go through, it's just, you can feel the difference. That's why fasting is one of those things, like, you have to experience it for yourself, and you can never tell anybody about how it feels.
No, definitely, and that's what I say too. For, like, you know, there's so many levels to it, and like levels that I can't. You don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So I know it's things I haven't explored, and you know, he who defines himself can't know who he is. So I just look at it like, man, there's so many levels, and I just want to put myself in position to see them, because every time I do anything that shallows my breath, I feel it. Like, you know, when I go back into the breath, and it's like, man, why? There's no point in staying stuck on stupid. Like, how long am I gonna do this? You know, and self-sabotage. You know.
You already graduated from that cycle, and you're still playing around like you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, you know what I mean. So then, you know, with the breathing, you just see exactly how much. You know, you're burning up your credit card. I feel like you're burning up your melanin. You know, how many breaths of life you got, because you can't measure life in time. It's coming down to breaths.
People like ultimately. Them choke sessions, though. You don't have as much responsibility, I guess. You acknowledge it when you...
People like suffocation in various forms. Asphyxiation, I guess, is you know, whether you're stuffing your organs to where they can't breathe, or somebody's choke sexing you, it's whatever. But I just feel like no, I got to. But no, I feel like, you know, with me with the breaths, I can see, like, now it's just like, you know, since air regulates thought, like I've been saying, and the water regulates emotion, like, and water being like denser air, basically. So it's following, it's starting from the small changes on, it's starting from the nothing, and then, you know, going to the denser elements. So if I control my air, then the water will follow. So it's just like, you know, I've been through 10 years of veganism at this point, and, you know, gradually hydrating, rehydrating, and alkalizing, and remineralizing, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it, regrouping as an individual. That like I can tell that when I put poison in the system, that the water itself is so clean that it's not, you know, it's not so much of a damage, but at the same time, I'm so sensitive that I do still feel everything.
But you have that credit kind of built up within you that you can play those games, I guess, you know? I'll eat a lie for a day.
Exactly, you know. And so then, but at the same time, as far as food though, I would never regress to the likes of dairy or flesh. Or anything like that.
You know, in certain cultures, they know that you shouldn't combine dairy and flesh. So it's like, it's interesting that in America it's just so common. That people eat that, and it's just normal to them.
Exactly. I mean, kosher is like that, right? No, you don't put the flesh with the lactose or whatever.
Do not mix those.
I mean, so for me, I feel like that. Yeah, the detoxing it's a full body detox, all levels and all layers of the onion. It's levels to this, you know.
I think the simplest way for people to understand like what to avoid is just usually shit in boxes, and if you read the nutritional label, it'll have like, okay, it contains these allergens and like bold print, you know what I'm saying, wheat, dairy, all those things, soy, like you know, so it's like, really, like, don't just settle on like, hey, I'm vegan or whatever. Like, you have to go deeper than that and understand it's more about coming from a natural perspective rather than like processed and cultivated, things like that, you know?
Definitely. And then, you know, just take your strides where you can. Take advantage of every opportunity to get better.
And trust the process, because it's a gradual thing. Like, when you try to force it, like, nothing in nature happens overnight, really. Like, a lot of things are just, it's a gradual process. You got to transition into it. I mean, some people have the willpower to just shock their body. Like, if they're just fed up, like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I have to, cold turkey. Like, I'm not going to do this anymore, you know? But for longevity purposes, I feel like it's just easier once you just transition, you know, at a normal pace.
I've never done it with another person, because I've never had anybody that's really that serious in the practice, you know. And I feel like, I guess certain things, you know, you're going so deep into you that, you know, it's best that you do it solo or dolo.
Because I think it creates more pressure too when you try to do it together. So.
Because you're draping over your expectations. You know, once your temperature control gets lost in a relationship, if one of the, you know, then the pressure just gonna bust, you know, and something's gonna happen, you know, whether it's an argument or something.
There's different constitutional states that, you know, people are incarnating into the flesh depending on your family and bloodlines and what they were eating, you know. So
Definitely.
My family was like heavy starch on both sides, so dealing with different.
We was definitely heavy starch. Definitely, especially with the alcohol. So
starching it up.
You know what I mean. I don't know. So that joint is 9 minutes. I don't know what you're gonna do. 2020 Tantra, I'm shamelessly promoting on Amazon. 2020 Tantra on Amazon.
Grand Canyon.
Info in the description. The Grand Quarry. Don't that look like tree stumps? Don't that look like something ravaged the earth more than like glaciers gently carving away? It looks like sharp, jagged cuts in the ground more so, like, or maybe like explosive. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know about explosive. Actually, it looks very, you know, it looks like sharp. It looks like, for me, it looks like that some type of mining operation. It doesn't really look like. It's really cynical for motherfuckers that have to pay to look at this hole in the ground.
Exactly. I want my $35 back
That's
for today. Like,
yeah.
For real though.
Right? Anyway.
This is Maya Michelle.
Yeah. You know, info in the description. 2020 Tantra on Amazon.